He went from having just months to live to now breathing on his own. Our DeMarco Morgan has this incredible story for us.
And Orange County man now has a second chance at life thanks to the doctors there right here in SoCal, now credited with performing the nation's first minimally invasive double lung transplant.
57-year-old Frank Coburn of Huntington Beach was beginning his second chapter, enjoying life with his loving bride of more than 30 years and the success of his two adult daughters. That's until the avid biker started experiencing a shortness of breath.
I would always cough on an intake, and I'd have to kind of belly breathe.
It was clear to Coburn he needed to see a doctor right away.
A year ago, March, I got diagnosed with interstitial lung disease. When I realized how bad that was, things kind of changed a little bit inside for me. I was on oxygen part-time all the way up until late December.
To make matters worse,
I got COVID, and then I was on oxygen full-time.
So what was life like before when you talk about breathing and having to, depend on an oxygen machine?
At the worst, it was, I have a bedroom upstairs, and we had an oxygen concentrator downstairs, an oxygen concentrator upstairs, and my wife would literally meet me halfway in the middle, and we'd exchange oxygen.
Coburn says he thought his days on Earth were numbered.
I took a motorcycle ride in September of 2020 that I thought might be my last motorcycle rides. I was still doing some stuff, trying to eke out the last bit of my life that I had left.
Coburn would need a set of new lungs. His name was eventually added to a transplant waiting list. 5 days later, he received a call for a match and admits he worried more about his appearance post-surgery than he did about the procedure itself.
I was concerned about the scar. I typically go shirtless. I ride shirtless often,
To his surprise, cardiothoracic surgeons at Cedars-Sinai's Smith Heart Institute had a plan.
Frank had end-stage lung failure.
Dr. Pedro Catarino.
Typically, lung transplantation is done through a much bigger incision, an incision called a clamshell incision that goes from one armpit across the breastbone to the other armpit.
Which involves breaking the breastbone into two pieces and requires patients to rely on a heart-lung machine. To avoid that, Dr. Catarino and his team used a technique that was developed in Germany that requires an incision between the ribs not much longer than a driver's license.
We call it a credit card-sized incision.
What does it say about the future of lung transplants?
We've been able to reduce the size of the lung transplant incision progressively so that we can now do it through a really quite small incision with special instruments which are designed for minimally invasive surgery.
Welcome to news for the patient making history in a way he never might have imagined.
I can live, I can breathe. I just consider myself highly lucky, highly fortunate that they did this on me.
Go Cedars-Sinai, and it's been a little more than 6 weeks since the transplant, and as you can see, Coburn looks great and is getting better by the day. And just to add a little perspective to it, so this is the size of a credit card here. This was the size of that incision, and you ask yourself, how can you do a double lung transplant with just a small incision like this? Yeah. Well, what they do is they deflate the lung, and then they take it out, they put the new lung in, and then it inflates.
Wow.
Which is incredible, right?
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you slide out a full lung? But it's incredible what they can do.
Did I sell it? I should have went to medical school.
Yes.
But what had happened was.
And then inflate it.
No, but good for him, yeah, and great news for those doctors too. Just incredible.
It's like knowing the secret behind magician's tricks.
Yeah, that is amazing. No idea that you could do it with a little slit. Okay.
And he could go shirtless at the beach.
Oh,
that's the most important thing.
yeah. Oh, so glad that he's doing well.